Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I wanted to do this video as a follow-up to that whole video I made about Ben Affleck, and I talked to now Common Movie Marks. I think it was Matt. Matt made a video earlier today, and he discussed all about these rumors, not these rumors, these confirmed rumors that Ben Affleck was talking about the reasoning of why he left the Batman role, and almost I would say 80% of everything he stated on there, I already said in my video. And I asked him, can I use some of his previous videos because he and Shane did a very good job making sure they understood what was going on and present this evidence to you guys so you guys can understand what the heck has been going on. And this is the one of the main reasons why I remembered all this, because there was a lot of things going on. Now, I couldn't get all of it. They did a video about Ben, that he was still in the middle of his stint, and Kevin Tsujihara and Toby Emmerich went to his house. Now, my interpretation of this is that was when they went to him and told him that he's drinking himself to death and we need to figure this out. They do not want a Heath situation. This is where I think the Heath situation came in. And I think that they were trying to slowly nudge him away from getting the director, and this is where I feel that Jeff Johns, thinking that he's trying to be Mr. Big Shot, he went and started looking around for other directors. This was the I felt that was the nail right there that put into the fact that he didn't want to do this anymore. That's what I think it was. Now he was being the politician, he was being the good guy because he's been with WB for a very long time. They made the last three, I think 3 or 4 movies for him, and they also did his passion project Live by Night. So I think that he played ball with this. Now this movie he's coming out with, it's by WB. So I don't think that he's gonna completely burn that bridge. I think he's gonna stick with them as long as possibly can. Now with this new regime, it depends. Now, the only way this is ever gonna work is unless that Snyder cut comes out. Now my head canon is if um if the Snyder cut comes out and it breaks a lot of internet. Everybody starts watching. They want this thing. It's very good. I think that they're gonna reevaluate how they want to do this universe. I think right now they just want to get these movies out. I think they want to get the movies out. They don't want to do anything shared, because by doing anything shared, and let's say the circuit comes out and it makes everybody want more of it, then that puts them in even more of a pickle. So if they just have all these movies out, they can easily do what Arrowverse did. They can use the multiverse to actually mold all this stuff into one gigantic pot. Now, people could say, well, why don't they just use what Arrowverse did? They can't, because in all retrospect, you're saying that the Arrowverse is Earth Prime. That makes no sense. So they need to figure something else out and actually get themselves in a situation that they can truly make a shared universe. Now, I got two of their videos. One of them is the whole Jay Oliva conversation with Jet Ramsey from Batman on Film. This is the one that really started making me understand what the heck has been going on with Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck. Now this is the one where I stated that Jay Oliva said this is above his pay grade. The only thing he remembers is that he and Ben and Jeff, they were working on the script. They were working on the script and the storyboards, and everything was going perfectly fine. But again, he just said this is way above his and the person he's talking to on Twitter. That's above their pay grade right now. That's above their paycheck. He doesn't know what's going on behind closed doors. He thinks that everything is good. Remember, Jay Oliva's only a storyboardist. He's not the director of the movie. So he doesn't know what's going on in the writer's room. He doesn't truly know what's going on in the director's seat. He doesn't know what's going on behind the closed doors. Jeff Johns could be a guy that's basically saying, hey, this is what I want. Now, the next one is more about what Matt Reeves was talking about, and one of the main reasons why I think that if if Snyder was able to really put a cement on his cut and say, "Hey, this movie is done. Do not change anything. This is how it is." Now, this is one of the main reasons why this is the core reason why I say don't put all the blame on Jeff Johns or put the blame all on WB. Put the blame on everybody. What Matt Reeves did, and I'll let these guys say it, and it's in their video. I will link both of them down below. They stated something that I went, that's exactly what Zack Snyder should have did, and I think that this cut would have been out. This cut would have been out a long time ago, but he didn't. He looked at the whole situation and went, I kind of don't care. I just want to he just wants to take care of his family, and that is his right. That is his absolute right. But he now is in he's in a bigger pickle because if he put in that stipulation when this movie was in the middle of post production, he never had to do all those cryptic messages. His wife wouldn't have to be doing all this stuff. They could just say, "No, bring the cut out. This is my husband's work. Bring it out, or we're gonna have a problem." And also, they put his name on it. That means he couldn't have been fired. Also, his wife, their production company, is the one that produced this movie. So that means, guess what? They cannot just that means that he couldn't have been fired. So so a lot of people out there stop the he was fired nonsense. That is complete false. If he was fired, why is his production studio a part of it? They can't fire him if his production studio is a part of it. That means they have no right to put his name on it. That's not his movie. That's their movie now. That's WB's movie. So I'm gonna play this one. I'm gonna let this play in the background, and I'm gonna change my I'm gonna change my screen because I'm gonna be doing a couple of other things, and I want you guys to really listen to what they're talking about. And I'll stop it, and I'll also talk over it and give you guys what I think in between what's going on. Okay, so let's get into it. Thank you.
More important things than a cappuccino blast. Jay Oliva, the cock tease himself.
So this all started with a little comment by Mario F. Robles. He's the head of some shit. Well, hold on.
No one knows. No one cares.
Editor-in-chief of Revenge of the Fans and host of the Fanboy Pod and the Revengers Pod.
Well, he doesn't have a fucking blue check mark. Oh, wait, neither does Jay Oliva. Never mind.
Writer, actor, DJ, jackass of all trades. Entertainment is my life.
I love his LinkedIn headshot on fucking Twitter. Way to go, Mario. Like, what are you trying to do? Network? Fucking hey, man. All
right. He basically talking about Matt Reeves' Batman, blah, blah, blah. And then a guy named Bill Jet Ramey from Batman on Film. God damn it. Batman on Film has totally lost a lot of credibility lately.
Okay, now the Bill Jet Ramsey situation. This guy has been railing all over BVS ever since it came out. Now he changed his tune later on because he started after Justice League because he started to understand like, wow, there was a lot of stuff that was going on. He didn't know. Now there were some rumors that were going around that WB was really keeping a very tight lip on a lot of things that was going on. They really instituted their NDAs. They really started to try to clean house about what was going on. And some things were getting out and some things weren't. But Bill the Jet Ramey, or whatever the heck he wants to call himself, I'm trying not to insult the gentleman because he doesn't deserve to be insulted unless he insults other people back. Now, he really was about the fact that Ben Affleck just walked away, there was nothing going on, and then what the heck is going on? So Jay Oliva came in and said, and he started to clean house. He started to knock people out left and right, telling them, dude, I worked on the movie. I know what the heck was going on. So for the Snyder Cut movement, he was the man for months. For months, he was the man. So I know I'm not going to try to beat a dead horse. Everyone who knows part of this movement knows about the whole situation with Jay Oliva, but this has to be told. These small little videos And these little things is one of the core reasons why a lot of us are fighting hard for this movement. And also, this has to be told because now it's being told. If you really think about it, we never thought Ben Affleck was going to talk about this. We never did. The comic movie marks, even DC on film with John Eric Garza and Ben Everett. I mean, yeah, Ben Everett. They straight up stated that no matter what about this movie, it's eventually it's going to be told. People are going to start talking because those NDAs don't last forever. They only last for a few years or however long that the what's on the contract itself. So it's already been almost close. It's been over 2.5 years now. It's almost going to be going on to 3 years since Justice League came out, and the movement has gotten so strong that we've gotten a lot of people. It's been traveling all over the world. People, a lot of these stars are gonna start talking. Ben Affleck is now starting to talk. He's now starting to talk because it's getting closer and closer to the fact that of Matt Reeves' Batman. Now you know these bloggers and idiots are gonna come out of nowhere and keep asking about this story. Now the one I really wanted to find was I think it was I think it was Comic Movie Marks. They started talking about the fact that Ben Affleck was getting very upset over the fact that people keep asking about the Batman. I would be too. He's out there trying to give publicity towards Live by Night, a movie that he worked on himself, wrote himself, directed, and starred and produced. So he did it all on Live by Night. So I don't care what anybody says. He could have done the Batman. There was no problem for him to do the Batman. He was eager. And now we got this whole situation, and it all now turned to pot. So I want you guys to listen to this. I really do, because this is one of the core reasons why I made sure I try not to forget this. I try my best not to forget. Or if I put it in a different context, I'm sorry, but this needs to be told. This is one of the main reasons why I straight up stated that Ben had a story. Something else was going on, and it pissed him off because you went from a guy that was so happy he's finally able to get back into the superhero business, play as his favorite superhero of all time. He had a story. He knew the story that Zack Snyder wanted to do, and you're telling me that the moment he's about to put pen to paper, he could come up with a script? The dude wrote Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon. And you're telling me he couldn't write a script for Batman? He knew exactly what he wanted to do. So don't tell me or tell other people that, oh yeah, he didn't have a story. He did have a story. So I hope you guys listen. Again, I will link both these videos into the description, and I hope you guys watch this. And also watch all the older stuff that had any relevance to the Snyder Cut, because the stuff I'm talking about, it happened. Comic Movie Marks did a really good job with it, and I do hope you guys watch the history of the Donner Cut and what it means for the Snyder Cut, because what WB did to Snyder is exactly the same thing they did to Dick Donner. But the thing about what happened to Dick Donner was they took his name off Superman 2. They put Lister's name on it. So if they did that to Richard Donner, and he didn't even finish the whole movie. He didn't finish the whole movie. He was still in principal photography. He was still in principal photography. He couldn't even get a lot of this stuff done. And you're telling me that Zack Snyder didn't have anything? BS. And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. We all know the cut exists, but this is when everyone was talking about the movie didn't exist. So watch these videos. These guys are really good. I'm trying to give a lot of these guys a lot of subscribers, and because they deserve it. They worked a lot harder on their news than I did, and I'm just trying to pick up the slack so you guys can say, hey, this is and also these are my opinions, and I'm trying to use their news and give them the credibility because they're the ones that did the research. Despite what Matt and Shane talk about, like, hey, we just happened upon it. Yeah, they're being very humble. These guys worked very, very hard on their product and worked very hard on the news. They want to make sure that the news is out there, and they also gave a lot of opinions too. So I'm gonna finish this up. Let's listen.
He decides to insert his incredible professional opinion into this because he's got to be on it, right? He's got to be on it
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Everybody wants to hear what Jet has to say.
His journalistic integrity is on the line as with his Bill Jet Ramsey.
Affleck never had a story. That's the core problem. It was doomed the moment he signed to play Batman because everyone expected a great B.A. I'm not sure, B.A. Baracus? Batman animated? I don't know what B.A. is. A great Batman? I guess. I don't know. Director of Argo. What is B.A.? Oh, a great Ben Affleck. Expected
yes.
a great Ben Affleck. Really? You couldn't just put Affleck? What? Anyway. Director of Argo to write/direct Batman film, and it would be a masterpiece. You gotta have a story and passion for it, and he didn't.
Oh man, he had the guy. He had that. He had the guy 9999999. Okay, okay. So let's go back to that. Let us go back to that. Now, he said Affleck never had a story. That's the core problem. No, he had a story. He understood what he was going to do. He said he was going to have it inside of Arkham Asylum, and he was going to have it where Batman was going to infiltrate into Arkham Asylum to find out what the heck is going on, and it's all orchestrated by Deathstroke to weaken Batman so Deathstroke could kill him. That's pretty much the core of the story. Now, there could be much more integral parts to it because he's going to be going against all of his core villains. So that means we would have had a Joker, we would have had Two-Face, we would have had Penguin, we would have had Poison Ivy. It would have been basically Batman Arkham Asylum, but it would have had Deathstroke in there. So don't tell me that he didn't have a story. He had a premise. So that's a good enough for us to go, wow, you're telling me, wow, sign us up. The moment that he said he was going to do this story, it was going to be him trapped inside of Arkham Asylum, him versus Deathstroke. Everybody was already sold. Everybody was already sold. Just the premise. We didn't care about the story. The premise sold all of us. So I don't know what Mr. Jet Ramsey was talking about during this time phase. It just means that it just tells to me that he didn't know what was going on, and he's want to throw that out there as it's stuck to the wall. Okay, he said it was doomed from the moment he signed on to play Batman because everyone expected a great BA, and I think he was meaning a great badass director of Argo to direct a Batman film, and it would have been a masterpiece. It would be a masterpiece. It would have been a masterpiece. It would have been the greatest Batman story we ever had because he described it as it is Arkham Asylum meets The Raid. You would have had more action, great levels of story, him doing some detective work, but it would have been more of an action-paced movie. And it probably would have been a little bit more violent than what we were used to, which is fine. That's okay because his version of Batman is a pretty physical dude. He breaks bones. He smashes through guys through walls. He picks them up and smashes them into things. That's a physical Batman. We would have been perfectly fine with that. If a lot of people were perfectly fine with what he did in the warehouse scene in BVS, I think we would have been perfectly fine with him doing it in his own damn movie. It would have been really weird of him doing something that makes no absolute sense and it didn't follow exactly what he knew that Zack Snyder would have done for this version of Batman. And then he says you got to have a story and a passion for it. Now, he said that he lost some of the passion. Now, I think he had the story and he had the passion, but then let's just say someone came in and basically just peed all over what he wanted to do and he lost the passion for it. Let's just say you come in, you're with your family out on the beach, and you say, hey, you know what? I want to build a sandcastle. You build a phenomenal sandcastle. Took you 3 hours to create, and out of nowhere, some dude comes in, some dude with a beer and a water cooler walks in and kicks your whole freaking thing down and says, hey man, move your stuff, and puts his thing right, puts his umbrella right where you're sitting, and puts all of his stuff down, and him and his wife and his kids just start playing around where you're at. He didn't say nothing, didn't do anything. Are you gonna sit there and take it? No, you're gonna get up and say, hey man, what the hell's your problem? Or you might just say, you know what, screw it, get up and move to another spot. But Ben Affleck didn't have that opportunity. He was trying to tell Jeff Johns, beat it. I already know what I'm doing here. And that's why I say that's my headcanon. Don't think that what I'm saying that's exactly what's going on. No, I'm not. I was not the fly in the wall. I was not in the room. I'm just putting in what I think was going on because we all know the type of person Jeff Johns was. We also know that Joe Manganiello was signed on to play as Slade Wilson. We know he was in Justice League. And he had Gareth Edwards, the man who did the raid, say, hey, I'm going to do a Deathstroke movie. You got Gareth Edwards sign on to do a Deathstroke movie? Dude, that signed everyone up. We didn't even hear the premise. We heard nothing. We just heard the guy who did the raid, and he's doing a Deathstroke movie. And it's going to be rated R. Sign us up. Done. We don't hear nothing. Just do the damn movie. That's all we cared about. Just do the movie. and they tossed it all to the side. Now, we don't know what was going on. So we need to stop with the whole it's WB's fault this is all going on. No. We need to throw more people in the pot because Jeff Johns was the CCO of the whole DC Entertainment. He was the guy that they went to get the information about what they can do and what they can't do, and also what would work for the audience. He came out about a few months before Justice League came out, and he started talking about hope and optimism. Are you kidding me? How about you just say, hey, we want superheroes being superheroes. We want DC be that gritty, non-Marvel type of movies, and we want the directors to be able to give us that in their way. We want to be different than the competitor. Don't give me this nonsense about hope and optimism. That's Batman. I mean, that's Superman. Wow. Sorry. That's Superman. Not everyone does hope and optimism. Batman, he's hopeful and he is optimistic, but he's a realist. He deals with the real world. He doesn't. Optimism it happens. He has to be optimistic, yes, but he lives in a very dark world. So don't tell me about hope and optimism. That type of Batman was done back in the 1960s and 70s. That Adam West type of Batman, the goofy things that we want to stay kind of away from. We don't want Batman and Robin again. We wanted Zack Snyder's Batman or Ben Affleck's Batman. If you didn't like what Zack Snyder was going to do, that's fine. Okay, so let's move forward and let's move forward on this.
So then Mr. Oliva replies, hi, Bill. The original Affleck script was the best Batman script I've ever read. Ben had a kick-ass story, and I believe that the audience and fans would have loved it.
You mother! You worthless sacks of... Not only is there a script, Jay...
Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to move forward because that was just him doing the bleeping because he's pissed off, and it's rightfully so. Jay Oliva just basically dropped the mic all over social media, saying that the script that he read was the best he has ever done. This is the man that did one of the greatest. He did a retelling of one of the greatest Batman stories ever told. He did The Dark Knight Returns, and it was regarded as one of the best interpretations of Batman they have ever seen. And if he's saying that this is the best he's ever done for the storyboards, then what the hell? That is a complete mind blown. It is. It's a complete mind blown. This stuff needs to be told. Okay, so let's move forward.
That you proceed to tell us is apparently the best Batman script you've ever read. Way to really hammer it down on us. Not only was there a script and done, but it was the best, according to Jay Oliva. Of course, subjective.
Very, but this is also someone who is a fan of the Snyder universe, so I think take it for what it's worth in that regard. I'm willing to trust him on this, and holy shit, like that's just so disappointing. I hope it at least leaks. I would love to at least read the script itself. Then of course it could always be where there's a saying for it, but where you read the script and then nothing else that follows will ever live up to it. Any movie that comes out, if it has Ben Affleck or not, anything that Matt Reeves does, we will just shit all over, because if we read that script, we'll be like, nope, it's not this. I don't want it.
Well, it's just not the original concept. There was like, you could just tell there's a lot of woodworking that was going on after Man of Steel. I mean, people were talking about how much apparently WDC was trying to rush into this. Whether you want to go with the rushing or not, that's completely up to you. But they were definitely forming their universe or their concept. And with the Batman movie, Deathstroke, with what Suicide Squad was probably supposed to be under the Ayers cut, what it was supposed to be, what Justice League ultimately was supposed to be, was a part 1 and part 2, and eventually that got taken down because of because of critics and bloggers. It's insane to see how much shit behind the scenes was happening, but it all just got washed away. And Mario F. Robles, the LinkedIn motherfucker, it makes it all more perplexing why Reeves would chuck it. And for Affleck to publicly state he never had a script he liked. One day, I hope we get a documentary about all the behind-scenes insanity. I could not agree more.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
last like 3 years. It's just insane. It's just crazy. What the hell was going on? What happened behind the scenes?
Okay, now Robles did something very cool, because he did say it makes it perplexing that Matt Reeves would chuck it. Now, I don't think Matt Reeves chucked anything. What I think Matt Reeves read is he went, "Oh my God, this would have been awesome," but if Ben Affleck's not doing it, why the heck is he going to use his script? That's almost insulting. He feels it's insulting. That's not the listen. If he's not 100% on board with his movie, and let's say, and Ben Affleck is the writer, he's the star, and he's the producer, then I think Matt Reeves will have a little bit of a problem with it. He's like, I don't want to do this movie, and he and Matt Reeves have to sit down on it. But he read that script. He had to have read that script when he looked at it. He went, dude, this script. He probably went, this script is awesome. But if Ben is not going to do it, then I don't want to do it, because this is his script. This is his baby. That means I'm taking his work. I don't want to do that. So he went to the drawing board and wrote his script, which is the one that he wants to do, a noir type of Batman film that it's him back as a detective. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's do it. So, and him going around saying that he never had a script in the first place that he liked, that tells you something. That tells you a lot. No person that was happy and ready to go, eager, is gonna out of nowhere go, you know what, I'm good. I'm good. What? He knows how much money is in on this. He knows how big of a property this is. He knows the fans are gonna be extraordinarily happy. He knows, but he's not happy. He's not happy. He knows he's gonna get meddled. He knows he's gonna get pushed. He knows that people are gonna do to him what they did to Snyder, but they're gonna do it way more subtly, because they want to have that Marvel money, instead of saying, hey, let's just make the movies and let the fans decide, and we grow from there. Marvel didn't care. Marvel just made movies, and they started to find a niche in the comedies, and it worked for them. DC has to be DC. DC cannot be Marvel. We said this numerous times. Comic Movie Marks has said it. DC Film Hubs has said it. Chris Wong has said it. Hell, freaking Dave Payne even said it. Film Junkie said it. A lot of people said it. DC cannot be Marvel. We had that. That was Justice League, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It feels off, because we've had different types of storytelling, and then out of nowhere we went from almost a hard R type of storyline to gumdrops and rainbows. Are you kidding me? That's a complete different type of storytelling. That's gonna throw people completely off. And you're gonna slap on Zack Snyder's name on it? That makes I don't want to get into that. But now let's move a little forward. Now the video, they're showing a video right now, and it's the video of the Deathstroke. Who brought this out? Ben Affleck. He did this during the filming of Justice League. He brought out test footage of Joe Manganiello in the Deathstroke suit. So don't tell me that he wasn't excited. This dude was hella excited doing this script. He knew the story he was gonna do. He wanted Batman versus Deathstroke. Like everybody for years has wanted to have a live action version of Batman versus a live action version of Deathstroke. The closest we ever had was Batman Arkham Origins, where you fought Deathstroke for the first time in that game. And we were going to get that in live action. Oh, God. Sign me the hell up. I think even Matt right now is still angry over this. He's probably a little moved on, but I guarantee you he's still fuming underneath. He's pissed. This would have been $1 billion movie right here. Easy. If they just left Ben Affleck alone and said, hey, you know what, do your movie, man. And still brought in Matt Reeves. Say, hey, Matt Reeves, come over and do your movie. Different universe, different everything. Affleck, yours is still inside of the DCU. Let's continue forward. Sorry, I'm sniffing. I'm still having congestional issues. All right, let's move forward.
Wrestling fans will understand this reference, but Eric Bischoff has a podcast now called 83 Weeks with Conrad Thompson, and I've been listening to a lot of it, and there's like been some books with WCW and kind of like the history and some of the shit that went down, and a lot of books that have come out are garbage. It's based on like rumors and bullshit that's really not true, and Eric Bischoff, you know, puts the kibosh on all of it. But then one book came out, I wish I could remember the name of it, and he was actually saying like this guy who wrote this book interviewed like 100 and some odd people that were all surrounding WCW, and he has a lot more of like the financial things and how that stuff worked that ultimately led to the demise of WCW. And I could not help but think, maybe it was because I had already read these tweets, but I could not help but immediately think about the Warner Brothers DC situation. And I hope if it's not a documentary, it's at least a book or something that someone does the legwork, does the research, and comes out with really what happened behind the scenes. It'll probably just frustrate us even more. But holy shit, like what the fuck is going on? Why can't you figure it out? Why are critics or, you know, shitty fans determining one way or another how your universe is going to go if you have a full plan? And they continue to, there's extra nuggets that continue to come out that are obviously examples of that they had a plan and then eventually it got scrapped at some point. Now what the fuck happened?
Just a lot of change, a lot of mind changes. And then Mr. Jet Ramey says, "Hey Jay," or with an exclamation point, "Hey Jay!" hey. As someone who is a huge Ben Affleck, or excuse me, Affleck, he can actually say his name now, a huge Affleck fan, this is not news that makes me happy. Well, fuck you. If it was so good, then he should have made it. Good/bad, story/no story. It was a mess. Cheers.
Oh God. When I saw this, I was like, huh, okay. But listening to a lot of the stuff that came out now, this line right here makes me want to punch him in the face. And keep punching until I feel better. Because you're trying to tell me if it was so good that he should have made it. So you're gonna want him to do the same thing that Zack Snyder did. Make a movie that the studio heads and possibly other people who are on who at this present point in time he knows is ruined Justice League, ruined it. Ruined Justice League. And you're telling Ben Affleck to just go ahead and make this movie when it probably will start getting meddled with, poked on, and slowly he's going to start getting people want to get him off this project, bring in other directors, bring in possibly other stars of the film to pad out his movie to try to make it much more hopeful and everything. And you're expecting him just to make it good or bad, story, no story, it was a mess. You're absolutely a freaking idiot. You're an idiot. And this the guy that has a podcast and he has millions of people that follow him. It makes absolutely no sense. He's not going to make a movie where he knows that people are going to start meddling with it. And he's not going to say anything at this present point in time because he doesn't want to burn any bridges with WB. He really doesn't. He wants to just make movies now. That's why he's completely just walked away from everything. He's right now at the point in his career, he doesn't care. And that's his right. He came in on an idea that Zack Snyder proposed on a Batman that was a broken Batman, a broken Bruce Wayne, and him rising to the occasion to become that Batman we all know and love over time and sacrificing himself to prevent the world from being destroyed over the rage of over Superman's rage against losing Lois. Are you freaking kidding me? That would have been the most epic Justice League we've ever had, and they could have moved forward with anything else. We've been perfectly happy. But no, they got cold feet, and now we're in a mess. And now Ben Affleck is coming out talking about some hidden messages because I do think that people are messing around on his script. They were messing around on his script. They were talking behind his back. He's getting information, going, what the heck is going on? Why are people messing around with my movie? He's feeling that everyone does not want to do darker films. They want these happy-go-lucky films and have it in this way that it feels close to, and this is no disrespect towards the film, but more towards the feel of Birds of Prey, that type of film that you feel like it's a darker version of Adam West story, of an Adam West Batman, and that's not what people want anymore. They don't want that stuff. The people who say they want that, they just want to ruin the movie for you. All I'm saying is, tell me a damn good story. Give me the character the way they're supposed to be originally portrayed. Do not pander to what the character doesn't represent. If Batman at this time is supposed to be a dark person that's going through a lot of crap, the story should make sense to make sure that we understand that this version is not going to be the version forever. If it is, then you're going to go down a darker path, and that should be okay too. But Zack Snyder does a lot of methodology with his stories. He does a lot of iconic things in there. He does things that show you there's depth to the characters. If you say that, oh, he doesn't do that, then that's your problem. That's not mine. That's yours. I see the depth of the characters. If you don't see it, hey, that's just you. You want it simplistic. That's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with it, but call it that you see it. If you want a more simplistic story because you see it more simplistic, great. But I don't want that for this character. We've had all that type of stuff before. That's not good storytelling now. If you can't sit through the movie and think through the movie, that's your problem. A lot of people want that now. They don't want to spend $15 to be talking to like you're. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want no more Looney Tunes. I want darker movie. I want a little bit darker movie. I want something that's a little bit more adult. The kids are gonna watch it regardless, as long as it's not too violent, and that's the parents' thing. But it's Batman. Kids are gonna watch it regardless. It's Batman. They know he beats up people. They're not that stupid. Kids are not that stupid. Thank you. Let's move forward.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what he means. That also just seems to be the troll mentality when it came to Justice League. Like, if it was so much better, why wouldn't they just release it? Well,
exactly.
I really think people are underestimating how gun-shy WB and DC got after Batman versus Superman's reception. After they butchered Zack Snyder's theatrical cut, they didn't get the reception they wanted, and they were panned massively. Batman versus Superman should have made them $1 billion, and it didn't. There was a complete overhaul of maybe they're going in the wrong direction, and there was this desire to make it more like Marvel. There is a simple outlook on it, and these movies probably didn't follow that concept, and that's why they're getting scrapped. That's why we probably lost Flashpoint, because again, that was probably originally a Snyder idea, is to have Flashpoint, and it got scrapped. This Affleck movie probably got scrapped because of that, because again, it's following a different tone than what DC and WB1. Jay Leva answers Mr. Jet with, "There was a lot happening that is above you and my paycheck. I wish it was as easy as just making it. It had some of the best Batman slash Deathstroke stuff I'd ever seen." Fuck!
This is so actually he says some of the best Batman Deathstroke stuff I've ever done.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
he
Never
was
done.
already. What's that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I said scene.
Yeah, so he was already working on aspects of this film, which is also really intriguing and exciting. I hope maybe some of that stuff gets leaked as well. Another thing that just makes me have so much more respect for Jay Oliva is he's going to talk about everything that comes out in from his perspective, and he'll squash rumors all from what he knows, but he's also not afraid to say, hey, there's shit that was going on that's way above my pay grade. So I'm only telling you from what I know. This is some of the best Batman stuff I've ever done, that he's ever worked on. And that, you know, he has a whole history of shit that he did for Batman Dark Knight Returns. And he's saying this is some of the best stuff he's ever done. That's pretty telling right there. Just a lot of respect for him. He is also acknowledging it's not just as simple as, all right, let's just do it. There's a lot of shit that's going on behind the scenes, and it's sad. Can't help but just shake my head.
Well, it just continues to just unravel here with Mario F. Robles and Jay Oliva and other people coming in. And there's this weird defense that people have, especially, you know, people in the industry of blogs and websites and stuff like that, that no one's ever, other than fans, I feel like, no one's ever blamed Jeff Johns for this stuff. Like some people say Whedon's choices that he put in the movie were obviously not the best choices to put in Justice League, but no one seems to really put the iron to Jeff Johns. I see everybody defending him constantly, that he wasn't the one, he wasn't the Judas, as it would be in this situation.
Okay, now this is the part where we're going to get into the whole Jeff Johns situation. Now, again, and I really want to emphasize this, Jeff Johns was the chief creative officer. He was the CCO of DC Entertainment. He was the go-between. He was DC. He was WB and DC's understanding of what characters would work in situations and what characters we could do depending on the climate. And he decided he wanted to do these characters. And now we don't know what the heck his mindset is. We don't know that. He's not going to say anything. This guy is going to keep this until he grows old and gray, unless someone does a huge documentary and it starts to spill out what this guy was doing behind the scenes. Now, we don't know if some of the things we heard is true. Now, again, I stated it in the previous video and I'll state it here. There were rumors that he was actually looking at other directors while Ben Affleck was working on that script. He was looking at Matthew Vaughn. He was looking at Darren Aronofsky. He was looking at other directors and even Matt Reeves to actually direct the Batman, and he wanted to get Ben Affleck off the script. He wanted to get him off the director's chair because from what we could tell, what we could tell is he wanted to do Marvel / DC type of stories. He wanted to do DC, but with that Marvel-esque type of storytelling, where it's jokes, it's funny, it has hope and optimism. It feels more like a preteen comic instead of the gritty DC that we've had for many years, and also them taking the risks that they needed to do. Now, Birds of Prey, regardless of what anybody says, it was a risk, and it didn't pan out. So was Shazam. It was a risk. It was a low-budgeted risk. So was the Joker. The Joker was a huge risk, but it blew up. Aquaman was not a risk. Aquaman was something we've already seen. I mean, through Zack, through BVS, and also through a lot of Justice League, and it feels perfectly fine. Wonder Woman, same thing. It wasn't that much of a risk. It really wasn't. It was a bigger risk because it was the first time we were ever going to get Wonder Woman's movie out there. But there are stories that Jeff Johns came in on various times and tried to inject his decisions into the movies. And a lot of them said no, go take a hike. But he bypassed them because he used his rank as a CCO to come in and redo people's scripts, redo a lot of scenes, and he injected himself into there because he had the ear to WB, the higher management of WB, which is Kevin Tsuchihara and Toby Emmerich, and also even Diane Nelson. So don't say that he doesn't have that much power. He does. Same goes for Jim Lee. Jim Lee is the CCO right now. He, in my honest opinion, Jim Lee is more Mr. DC than Jeff Johns, because Jim Lee worked at Marvel before. He didn't like it over at Marvel very much, but he glad he got the job over there because of Stan Lee. But he loves it over at DC, and he's gonna be there until he grows old and gray. So I don't see Jim Lee going anywhere. But the thing is that Jim Lee is an artist. He draws a lot. Jeff Johns is a writer and semi can draw, but he doesn't draw very much. And even I'm sitting here saying is Jim Lee isn't going to say very much, but I think even he's going to say, dude, Jeff Johns screwed up, and I'm not going to do that. But again, that's my headcanon. That's not exactly anything. There's nothing showing that. So we're going to go into this. They're going to explain their opinion about Jeff Johns. But you need to look back at the things he's done. It is a pure fact that he rewrote the script of Wonder Woman. He rewrote the whole final scene of Wonder Woman. Because if you look at that movie, how Ares and some of the stuff that's going on in that movie makes absolutely no sense. She was so grounded, she basically ran into a room and took on men left and right, regular guys. She showed some various levels of strength. She showed some various levels of her jumping and her athleticism and her strength and speeds and everything else. But for her to go from that to she's able to take on a god on equal level makes absolutely no sense to Wonder Woman. It makes no sense. And this is Patty Jenkins. This throws everything off. That's the reason why. I guarantee you, she literally told WB when Jeff Johns walked away, he was becoming a producer and this and that. She flat out said, no, I want to do the movie I want to do. She basically put her foot down. She made, even with all those stupid changes she made, I'm sorry, the changes that, I'm not saying she made, the stupid third act, that movie made almost $700 million. Come on. So of course she's going to basically fight to say, no, I want to do the movie I want to do. So that's why I'm hesitant about Wonder Woman 84, but I am proud to want to sit down and watch that movie because this is what Patty Jenkins wanted. And we got to basically fight for it. We can't just say, oh man, that's stupid. That makes no sense. Blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? These are her decisions. She wanted to make this movie. She also wanted to make the first Wonder Woman movie, but then her movie got completely taken over by Jeff Johns. The final act of the movie. We're supposed to wrap everything up, give us a great climatic battle between Ares and Wonder Woman, and all we got was basically Wolverine versus Magneto. I'm good. I am good with that. No, I don't want that anymore. Give me something that makes more sense. That's why I have lesser resolve on what Patty Jenkins wants to do because she wants to do Cheetah. She wants to do this. She wants to get into the heart and the emotion of Wonder Woman's character. Fine. Give me that. Let's see what it can be done. That's all I'm saying. And that's why I fight hard for the Snyder Cut. It's more about directors' rights and their decisions that they want to make. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But for anybody to sit here and whine and bitch and complain that, oh, I didn't get the one I wanted to do. Dude, go fly a kite. Don't watch it. But also don't boycott. Just say, hey man, the trailer didn't get me. Okay, that's great. Move on. But don't ruin it for other people. All right, let's get what they have to say about Jeff Johns.
So again, more people defend Jeff Johns. And Jay Oliva even says, I was working with both Ben and Jeff on it, at the same time while I was in London. So that trip that Jay Oliva was talking about, where he went to London to help Snyder with some storyboarding, and he was apparently storyboarding with Ben and Jeff Johns over the Batman film. This motherfucker must have been busy in London.
Shit.
What a trip to London. And then Mario F. Robles. This is the thing that I find a little amazing, is that people still continue to defend Jeff Johns, even though I feel it's kind of obvious that his influence, anyway, I'm not saying he purposely just tried to sabotage and destroy a guy's career, but his influence and his ideas are what kind of changed this universe from what some of us don't want to see anymore. But Mario F. Robles says, I've never heard anything from anyone credible that states that John specifically threw Snyder under the bus. I know that WB/DC brass in general was apprehensive about Snyder's vision after BVS, but the evil Jeff narrative is BS. Okay, well, the WB/DC brass, well, that's Jeff Johns at the time.
Right.
Like, he's one of them. And he's probably one of the most influential guys there, because they're probably relying on him for intel. Like, what's going on? What's going on? How's this going down? The other guys are worrying about money. They're producers and stuff like that. They're more worried about costs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably more worried about storyline. And I just, it's really hard. That quote from Screen Rant, where he talks about getting Superman right and that you can't deconstruct heroes.
Okay, this right here, I'm going to basically, right after he's done, I'm going to tell you the whole thing. Because this right here is why I feel that Jeff Johns was starting to completely screw over everything that Zack Snyder was doing. He was talking, he was whispering in the ear of Kevin Uzahara and Toby Emmerich. He's sitting there saying, "Oh, the people are not going to like this. We got to move. We got to move in a different direction." Listen, people. The whole movie of Man of Steel was this: people don't like what they don't understand. They did not understand his version of Superman, and they hated it. But soon, eventually, a lot of them will join you into the sun, and then you could create wonders. He knew. Deep down, Zack Snyder knew that everyone is not going to like this version of Superman. They're not going to like this version of Superman. They want Christopher Reeve, but they're too cowardly to say it. They want Jolly G. Willikers Superman that makes no sense into any level of story that can be told. None. Matthew Vaughn, the guy who did freaking oh my god, The Kingsman. He did The Kingsman. He literally stated, "Yeah, I can do it for Superman, but it'll be boring." What? That's his pitch? That is his pitch. Saying, "Hey, I can do Superman movie. That'd be no problem. I love Superman, but it'll be boring." Wow. Move on. Please move on. So I'm gonna let them guys finish, and then I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. I will put it down very below. It's about 16 minutes into it, but I want to tell you guys the whole thing, because this, if you really read this and think about everything that's been going on, just go by the timeline and use this as a fill in the gaps. Every time Jeff Johns got in front of a screen and talked about this stuff, go back to his interviews. Go back to his interview with Kevin the Shield Smith, about what Justice League was about, and you're gonna understand that this dude was livid about what Zack Snyder was doing. He was just smiling for the cameras. So I'm gonna let them finish, and then I'll read you the whole thing.
I mean, it's straight out of the blogger narrative from Zack Snyder, about Zack Snyder. That's straight from that. And he's answering those critiques, and he's bringing up those critiques during the reshoots of Justice League. I mean, it can't be a coincidence. His influence changed the way this universe was heading. I mean, really, ultimately, it did start with the critics and bloggers because of their reaction to Batman vs. Superman. I get what he's saying there. Of course, these people are going to be a little gun shy after Batman vs. Superman because it didn't go the way they expected. But what puts them over the edge, I think, is whatever Jeff Johns tells them. That's why we got a Superman with a fucked up lip.
Okay, so I'll let them finish this part, but I want to get in this part because what they were talking about. It just kept going and going and going. So what he said is, and again, they were right. I thought that he said this after Man of Steel. No, he said this during the reshoots of Justice League. And this is what he said. He said, "I work with so many talented people. There's people that love it and understand it and embrace it, and then there's people that don't know that, and you want to help them learn it. And if you want to tell them why a certain storyline for a certain character might not work, or take on a character might not work, or what Superman really should be, but the whole thing is to craft shape the story and the tone to fit the character, and to celebrate the character instead of deconstruct the character. I think you want to celebrate the character because you got to celebrate something and build it up, I think, to really make it into something that represents who the character truly is." Okay, I agree what he says, but he is the guy. Go back in time with Jeff Johns. He's the one that wrote Infinite Crisis. He wrote it. He wrote Flashpoint. He wrote Blackest Night, Brightest Day. He wrote all of Doomsday Clock. Go back to all of his work and look at the work that was represented in comics. And I guarantee you he wrote a dark story. But he showed the character being driven down into the dirt and then rose him out of the muck. That's what he did. And what bugs me and what bothers me so much is he has the audacity to say this about Zack Snyder. If you read the line, but the whole thing is to craft and shape the story and the tone to fit the character. That's exactly what Zack Snyder did. He built it from the ground floor up. He was trying to show us a Superman that went through a lot of crap, and he hid himself from the world. He didn't embrace his powers. He didn't. He hid away from the world. And when he went around the world to see how humanity is, what did he do? He still saved people's lives. He still was that bodyguard for the weak. He didn't have to save that barmaid from that a-hole. He just left her alone. He didn't have to save those oil riggers. He did it because he wanted to. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to save Lois's life. Left her alone. That was her fault. Well, that's just dumb apples. But he did. He didn't have to put on the suit and try to save the planet. He could say, well, there's nothing I can do about that. He didn't have to sacrifice himself to Zod. He did that. And he says, and to celebrate the character instead of deconstruct the character. You are celebrating the character. You have to deconstruct the character. You have to deconstruct him for people to understand this story is to tell you this is a effed up world and why this hero will become a shining beacon for the world. And at the end, you will celebrate the character. Don't give me this nonsense. It's called the hero's journey. He should know this. He's a comic book writer. He says right here, because I think you want to celebrate the character because you've got to celebrate something and build it up. That's what he was doing. And that's what Zack Snyder was building up to. He was building up that this version of Clark Kent he's a misinformed Superman that's starting to figure out what he could do with his abilities and how can he best represent the people of Earth. And that's what BVS was about. He shouldn't be just dropping out of nowhere and think that he could just solve all the problems. People have to figure it out for themselves. That's what the whole point of Wonder Woman was. The whole point of Wonder Woman was she was told that the humanity is the way they are because of the grace of Zeus. That there are no, and the evils that man do is all because of Ares. And then she got a massive culture shock when she realizes that everything that Ares has done, Ares didn't do any of it. It was humanity. He just feeds off of the power that they do. He feeds off their conflict. He doesn't do anything. He just helps nudge them a little bit, but he doesn't put the evil in their heart. That's them. And that effed up her whole concept. That was the whole point. And no one had a problem with that. No one had a problem with that. That's deconstructing the character. You are deconstructing Wonder Woman. But Superman, no, you can't deconstruct him. Superman needs to be a happy hero. Why? Why? Well, that's Superman. You think Superman's happy all the time? Well, no, he's not. But this is a young Superman. This is a Superman within his first few years. He's figuring it out. He's not going to be happy. He's happy. The fact is, he's able to have a job that he wants. He's happy because he has a very beautiful woman on his arm. He's happy that they're living together and they're able to try to make a life for themselves. He's happy because he has the basics. Not because he has all these grand powers. He's willing to give that up if it means he could be with Lois for the rest of his life. He doesn't care. He just wants to have a family. Being Superman means that with these powers, he has a responsibility. But if it means that he can give those powers to a person that's willing to do it, he's more than willing to do it. And they won't pervert his powers. He'd be like, yeah, here, take it. I can be Clark Kent. All right, this might loop up a little bit, but sorry about that.
Reaction to Batman versus Superman. I get what he's saying there. Of course, these people are going to be a little gun shy after Batman versus Superman because it didn't go the way they expected. But what puts them over the edge,
saying it's the best Batman script I've ever
in the overall time frame with Justice League.
It's the best Batman script I've ever read. Hilarious. So then on the article, this guy Justin Bellman has kind of a quick back and forth with Jay Oliva. He's basically talking about that you saying that, like championing the release of Snyder Cut and saying that this is the best script that you've ever read is not helping the universe move forward. So you just need to stop talking, essentially. And Jay Oliva says, "I know, tell me about it." Kind of cracks a joke. But then one thing that he throws in there, which I think is really important, is he says, this is coming from Jay, I was not in any way meaning to take anything away from what Matt Reeves will do in his Batman film. I was responding to Jet saying that Ben never had a story because, well, he did, and I rather liked it. This is all par for the course when a new direction takes the reins. So he's not saying that anything in the future is going to be garbage, that Matt Reeves is an idiot, that he should use Ben Affleck's script. Hasn't said any of that stuff. He was just stating, no, Ben did have a story, he did have a script, and it was one of the best that I've ever read up until that point. So that's something to take into consideration. It's the same thing with the release of Snyder Cut stuff. Even though he's saying, yeah, that exists, and he's, bringing up all these examples, he's not taking away from Wonder Woman 84 or Shazam or Aquaman and saying those are garbage. He's just talking about the very specific subject, whether it's the Snyder Cut or in this case the Ben Affleck script. And I think that's what gets kind of lost at the same time, is that just because we want the Snyder Cut to be released, everything else is trash. That's not necessarily the case. So I think this is a really important tweet from Jay.
I don't understand people's perspective, like, oh, you're living in the past. No, we can keep moving forward, but still want the Snyder Cut. We could still want to see what the original idea and what some of the direction was for Zack Snyder's vision of Justice League. You could do both. It's amazing.
Jeff Johns ruined it.
Well, him and some others, but man, it's very hard to not implicate him. So we're gonna end this with a very awesome letter.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry for the jumping around, but again, I will leave this down below. Now he was right. They both were right about it. Now there's a lot of things we don't know. There's a lot of things that hopefully somebody will make a documentary about. I think this is gonna be. I think that once the Snyder Cut comes out, there's gonna be probably a few people that are gonna want to really do a huge documentary on this. They're gonna want to talk to all the stars, even Ben, and just be very courteous about it. Like, hey, you know, I just want to do a documentary. I just, if you want to keep certain names out of it, if you don't want to be a part of it, that's perfectly fine. But he just wants to, this person probably just wants to get some bits and pieces and figure out a timeline to what was going on behind the scenes of this of the Snyder Cut. And I think that documentary is going to make as much money as a big budgeted movie. It's going to be ridiculous because a lot of people are going to be wondering what the heck was going on ever since Man of Steel. That's the whole thing. Ever since 2013, what was going on in the mindset of WB all the way up to this new regime change? That's what a lot of us are going to be wondering. Now, I want to move to this other one, and this is another comic movie, Marks, and they were talking about DC directors and their impact. Now they were talking about Patty Jenkins and her decisions and things that she was doing. Matt Reeves, what Matt Reeves, his impact into the DC universe is going to actually be really interesting because he came in there with a premise and this is what he wanted to do. Now, I personally believe that this right here is what a lot of directors should be doing to DC right now. Just like, no, we're not doing what Matt Reeves is doing. And I think that this is the reasoning why there we are not getting we didn't get that Snyder Cut for so long. If you really, really think about it. Now I'm gonna let them talk about it, and then I'm gonna wrap this all up, and I'm gonna try to get this out there because this right here. What Matt did on his in his video, I will link that one in there too. What he was talking about, I guarantee you, this has been on a lot of people's minds since Ben Affleck hasn't said a word. He hasn't said nothing, and I think that it's fine. It's fine. Let's leave the man alone. Let him get some movies out of his system. Let's get him in the right mindset because the thing with Ben Affleck is the dude is passionate. The dude is very very passionate about everything, and also he got into this because he really wanted to make movies, and he should have the right to say, hey, I don't want to talk to you. Can you just leave me alone? And we respect his personal space. But if we want to talk to him, we got to talk to him as a fan of cinema. We got to talk to him as a fan of comic books, and we also got to talk to him as a person to person, not as I just want to ask you these questions. You need to answer them. No, we should talk to him and say, hey man, I want to shoot the ass. I want to just sit down and just get a few questions. If you feel like I'm getting a little too personal, I'll buzz off. And I think he was sitting there going, okay, that's cool, because he understands if you say buzz off, you need to buzz off and he'll respect that. He will definitely respect that. But I think right now is the one of the start times to start talking to him about what was going on with the Batman script. And also, I think after another 2 more years, after he gets a lot more movies underneath his belt, then it'll be the perfect time to really start talking to him and get a lot more information. This is one of those things you need to talk to layers because the whole alcohol situation that was going on the set, that's apparent. And we don't know what was the start of it. I'm thinking it was the fact of him screwing around on Jennifer Gardner. Now, Jennifer Gardner is a very beautiful woman. She's very, very beautiful. And their whole marriage was wow. And the greatest thing about this guy is he used to be a party guy. And for him to settle down with truly a girl next door. Jennifer Gardner's a girl next door. She's one of those women that really wants to keep a strong household. She really wants a strong family. And for this to be all perpetuated into the media and having it out there in the open, and then all this situation that was going on, it just really probably put a strain on both of them. I think they wanted to get back together, but I think that his health was a lot more important than them getting back together. And they need to get back together for a reason. Not for the fact of it just keeps him sober. That's not the right way to do it. And I think right now what he's doing is perfectly fine. Get him into those movies, let him make the movies, and let him slowly start to move forward and move on. But don't badger him about the Batman. Don't badger him because I guarantee he will shut down and tell people to go F themselves. This type of guy that will tell people to go F themselves. And I don't want, and we shouldn't have that. Ben Affleck deserves as much respect as anybody else. I do blame him a little bit for not defending Zack Snyder, but he was going through his own stuff. And that's okay. And I'm willing to let some of that go. But let's see what their comic book movie Marks was talking about with Matt Reeves and what he was doing to get himself into the DCEU.
So another quote we're going to bring up right now because I think it's indicative of how the DC directors kind of need to be for the future. I think
Yes.
Patty Jenkins is a great example of this, and I hope I know Zack Snyder's no longer tied into Justice League right now because of his family issues, of the unfortunate thing that happened with his family. But he will probably be back for Man of Steel 2, or he might even come back for Justice League 2, depending on how everything goes.
Hopefully.
But I think I hope he starts putting his foot down on some things, because Matt Reeves recently was quoted, and he put this out there to WB, and this is what he said to WB about directing the Batman.
Yes, gave me goosebumps. It says Matt Reeves is getting ready to jump into the DCEU with the Batman, and Uproxx spoke to Reeves in the lead up to War of Planet of the Apes hitting theaters, and eventually asked the director about his process working on studio films. Then Reeves, it basically goes on to say with the Batman and how he pitched it to the studio. And this is from Reeves. He said, "When I come in, what I say is, look, first of all, you're asking me if I'm interested in this franchise. I am. I love this franchise. I've loved it since I was a kid. But here's the way in which I'm interested in it. And if you're not interested in it that way, then that's totally fine." And the good news was they said, yeah, we're really interested in it that way. And I remember this on Dawn too, talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. There would be moments where I came in for a pitch that was a certain version of the movie, and somewhere along the way, because they didn't know me or whatever it was, they say, why don't we do this? And I would just simply say, but that's not the movie that we talked about. That's not the movie I want to do. And I have to say that they always backed down when it came down to that. And it's kind of the way that I've always done it. And here's the thing, I'm always happy not to do something. I'm usually looking for a reason to say no. And that's kind of the end of the quote that we have, but it just shows that he basically comes in and says, this is what I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to do this film. Fucking take it or leave it. And you're not going to come in. You're not going to start changing shit. And if Zack Snyder had any flaw, that might be it, that he just kind of was like, I have this phenomenal movie that everyone loves, which is the Ultimate Edition. Okay, go ahead and butcher my movie. And then even though David Ayers says Suicide Squad was his movie, I call bullshit just based on what we know with the Joker, and that the studio stepped in there as well. So hopefully they're learning, and Joss Whedon's kind of, I don't know, remains to be seen. That he still has the Batgirl. I hope he doesn't make too many changes from what they've already had set with Justice League. I don't think there's time. People are putting it out there that he's reshooting all these things. From what I understand, he's reshooting things based on what Zack Snyder has said, and it was one thing they wanted to change.
The only thing I'm worried about is the music.
Yes.
The Danny Elfman music.
Exactly. Because that was weird.
That's a little worrisome.
That was kind of a weird coincidence that Joss Whedon comes in and then they fire Junkie XL. So I was like, okay, maybe they had that plan originally, but I thought that was kind of random. That was really random for me, and kind of one of those like, I wonder if he said, no, let's change this. But who knows? We'll kind of see how it goes. But hopefully they're sticking to what Zack Snyder has already set for the quote unquote Snyderverse. He's already started this whole universe that hopefully they'll continue to build around that. There's some plot holes with fucking Wonder Woman already, but there might be some other ones based on the rumors with Wonder Woman too. But
Cold War,
right? Yeah, exactly. But we'll see how things go. Hopefully, the directors who have a vision, you now have a prime example of Matt Reeves and Patty Jenkins, who both said, "This is how I'm going to do it. If you don't want to do it that way, then don't have me on this." And hopefully the studio's like, okay, let's just do it. Right. And they put their trust in who they hire. So we shall see.
Yep. Hopefully this is how this goes down, because there was like some other fucking report put out there, more clickbait from what I can tell, is that WB was actually going to limit themselves from having directors like this. There's a specific word for it, and I can't remember what it was, but there was like directors that want creative control, basically. They were actually going to eliminate that and have more mainstream directors that would go with the company flow as it would be. And they were going to stop doing that. And then they fucking bring on Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves has this thing where he says, no, do it my way or no way.
Yeah.
And I'm gone.
And they're like, okay, your way.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens when it actually gets down to directing, because this is Batman. Yeah. And I can see heads butting pretty hardcore on Batman. So we'll see how it goes down. But so far, so good. Yeah. Patty Jenkins is a good example of this anyway.
Absolutely. And the Ultimate Edition with Batman v Superman. Of how well received that was, you would think that they would go, oh shit, we fucked up. You know,
You fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Insert wrestling chant
so
Okay, so to wrap this up, um, yeah, that's exactly how I think they should have done it. I think that every director from this point forward, because um, they should literally say, hey, this is the movie we agree to. This is the movie I want to do. Either take it or leave it. And I have a feeling that Walter Hamada and Sarnoff and anybody else is going to say, okay, they're not going to mess with it. They're not. They're going to protect their directors. They know what the heck's been going on. You know, they'll make money. They have other projects that can make good money on. They don't have to try to make billions of dollars with these superhero films. Let's just make movies and just make a lot of good movies because that's the only way they're going to make movies. But right now, the superhero business movies are the big hot number right now, and those are the things that are under the spotlight. But who the heck cares? I mean, The Way Back it's going to sound like a really good movie. It sounds like almost like another Remember the Titans, or I think it was called Hoop Dreams or something like that. There's a lot of those type of movies that a lot of us feel good movies that we can watch that can pass the time. We don't have to have all of our lives around a superhero film. I mean, I would love to have superhero films. Yes, I'm a superhero film person. I have this podcast because of it. But that doesn't mean that I have to be on it 24/7. There's a lot of other things going on out there, and I mean, I got video games, there's other TV shows, such like that. But these directors need to have at least a level of respect to be able to do their own movies. They should. If you want people to respect you, then respect other people. Give the same level of respect. Now, Kathy Ann, she did her movie. Now we could judge it. It's out there for public consumption. But the thing is that you got to take the good from the bad. And if you didn't like the whole movie, okay, that's fine. I thought there were certain good things about the movie, but the story was pretty lackluster. The movie was a straight six to me. It is. It's a straight six. The only thing that really made it really good was the fact that they attempted to try to tell a deep rooted story, but it was all hampered because of the jokes, and that was mainly because of Harley Quinn, and that's perfectly fine too. But there was no threatening villain. The antagonist was not threatening. There was nothing threatening about the guy, and I don't want to get into that. So I'm I want to wrap this up. Thank you for joining me. I really want to thank Matt and Shane from Common Movie Marks for allowing me to use their videos. I know that this is one of the things I want to do. I want to reach out to these guys so I can say, hey, can I use your past videos and everything for discussion? If they say yes, great, I can use it and I will give them their credibility. And if they say no, I will still talk about it, but I won't use it because I feel that that's respect. That's showing the respect that they did the hard work. I'm just basically using it as evidence, but they deserve at least a huge amount of credit for giving us those videos. Now they did these videos close to almost 3 years ago, and they were already talking about this whole situation with Ben Affleck. And now it's starting to come out that Ben Affleck was being a little pressured, and he really did have a script, but he just didn't like the direction that was going on. That's some of the hints we were getting from it, and we could put it all on Jeff Johns, but I don't think so. I think that he was one of the perpetrators, but it wasn't all him because he can't change everyone's mind. He can't change Kevin Zuccarello's mind. He can't change Toby Emmerich's mind. He can only coerce their minds to make them think that, hey, this is what's going on. We need to do something about it. And they go, hey, you know what? All right, let's do something about it right now. Okay, so I don't fully blame Jeff Johns, and neither should you. He, one man cannot change another man's mind, especially since these guys are all about the money. And Jeff Johns is trying to make them money. So he's not at all the blame. They can say, you know what, screw you. Ben Affleck can make money. He won an Academy Award, so we can leave him alone. But they were scared. They got cold feet because they wanted a Batman movie to make them $1 billion. They wanted another Dark Knight trilogy to make them an easy billion. They did not want a complicated billion. They didn't want a slow billion. They wanted a quick, easy $1 billion so they can basically have Marvel choking on it, that they can make $1 billion with ease with one Batman movie. That's the way it is. So I want to say thank you to those two. And also, they still got me as one of their subscribers. I will never unsubscribe from them unless they go completely left field. But they have never done that. They still do a lot of videos. I occasionally watch a lot of them, but I'm very busy on other things. So, like I said before, like, comment, share, subscribe down below, hit that bell, and tell me what you guys think. I mean, watch these videos. These are evidence videos for you to be able to tell other people, hey, go watch these guys. They've been doing this for 2 years. There's a lot of evidence here to say this cut exists, or there were meddling going on behind the scenes. I'm seeing a lot of people just throwing things out and having no evidence whatsoever. And here's the evidence right here. These are the guys that did their homework. They read what's going on and they're using their evidence to propel a type of question and also a level of opinion so you guys can make your own informed opinions. But you got to use evidence. And they have. So why is it hard for us to go, okay, hey, you know what? Let's just start to slowly move on. All right. So thank you for joining me. You guys have a great one. Have a great night.